Hey, what's up and how's it going, everyone? Well, I'm so glad that you have took your time to spend with me right here today on the Mick Rock and Bull Wrestling Review Show. I'm your co-host, Mike McRock Wilson, and last night was NXT. And it hailed from the Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida. The show kicked off with a Divas match. It was Summer Rae versus Bayley. And what I like is that when NXT puts on the show and it has their kickoff match within the Divas division, they're bringing importance to that division based on where they placed their match. They put the match first. And that's what I really like, is that it goes to any wrestling promotion, whether it's Raw, SmackDown, NXT or TNA. They never put the first match within the Divas division. They always have that in this segment where no one really watches. You know, they put it like close to the end before the main event or somewhere in between the first 2 or 3 or 4 segments on the show. But with this show, NXT, it's only a 1 hour show. And with that being said, you know, you have to establish each of your divisions on the show well. And I think they've done a really good job by placing the Divas first. And like I said, that alone brings prestige to the Divas division. And with that out of the way, I thought this match was, it was a short match, but I like how they make the most out of it by using props. And one specific prop, the headband. I like how in the beginning of that match, Bayley wanted to go for a hug, to Summer Rae, before they started wrestling. And the crowd was chanting, no. And then she just decides to take off Summer Rae's headband. And she gets all mad and frustrated and starts beating up on Bayley. And then just rips her headband off. And so I like how they used the props in that match to tell the story. And I thought that was really well done when they used those headbands. And there were also nitpicking things. I felt I was weirded out. There was one moment in that match where Summer Rae was doing this little twist in the ring, and then she plants Bayley's head down from the mat. I can understand the Irish whip, head face to the mat, but that whole spinning thing before that happened, I was like, whoa, what are you doing? Stop doing that. But when Summer Rae went for the leg lock, her leg on the back of Bayley's head using the ropes and then stretching, I thought that was really good. And this was one of those shows where the little things matter when you really pay attention to it. And I like how Summer Rae is going well over with the fans as that heel. And in the same time, Bayley is over with the fans as a babyface. And there's a great combination between these two. Sasha Banks is the one in question, I think, even though she was at ringside and so was Natalya in Bayley's corner. Sasha Banks, I'm not sure if she's cutting out as a heel. I can understand the trial and error scenario. There was that miscommunication from last week between Sasha Banks and Summer Rae. There was no miscommunication this week, and I like it because you need to slowly build up a breakup. Have something happen last week, like what they did on the show, and have nothing at all happen. And maybe next week or the week after, have another plot point where another miscommunication happens, but not breaking them up to the fullest. Planting those little seeds like that develops a great storyline, and it's a sign where they should not flop a breakup. It's like what they're doing with the Shield. They're planting small little seeds, waiting for the tree to grow, and eventually it will grow all the way up to the top, and then they'll branch off in their own different directions. So, with all that being said, like I said, I love what they're doing with the Divas division on NXT. It really delivers and puts Raw and SmackDown to shame. I think, in my opinion. And with all that being said, the winner of that match was Bayley, and hitting the belly to belly, her finishing maneuver for the win. Also, Aiden English went one-on-one with Colin Cassidy, and I was kind of surprised how this match ended. Now, before I get to that, I will mention some things about Aiden English and Colin Cassidy throughout this match, and as well as individuals. In the beginning of the match, I really like how Colin Cassidy was really intense because of what happened last week from that sing-off when Aiden English attacked him, when he least expected it. So he told the story pretty well. I thought the psychology of Colin Cassidy was actually pretty good. How he started off the match with this, with a lot of intensity, and the little things, like I said, matter. Spelling out SAWFT subbed while he was applying some offensive moves to Aiden English. I absolutely like that kind of thing, and it gives the audience something to chant while you're in the match as well. It really goes over the whole soft chants. Really go over with the crowd as baby faces, but I'm surprised that Colin Cassidy doesn't have that reaction as a babyface like Aiden English does now as a heel. And I think the missing link is Enzo Amore. And I think when Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy are together, they create a better reaction from the crowd. I think that is just my opinion. Now, when it comes to Aiden English, recently, like from what happened last week with the sing-off, finally NXT is delivering Aiden English as a heel. And now he's getting that reaction like he never did before, because the audience liked the guy and they couldn't help but cheer for him. But now NXT is getting the right response from Aiden English, and that was the best way to go to establish your heel as a heel. And it's the same thing with John Cena. I mean, really, John Cena's not really cutting out as a babyface because he gets a lot of boos. And that's why. And now, this is not about John Cena. This isn't a review about NXT. And going forth in that match, I thought the match was only short. It was an okay match. And the way it ended, like I said, was really surprising. I'm surprised that Aiden English won clean, and the reason why I say that is because they started to develop the storyline, and now it's just like, oh, now it's ended. Okay, what's next now for Aiden English? So I kind of didn't like how the way they ended it. I would have rather seen a feud develop between these two guys to establish Colin Cassidy as a baby face. Try to get more of a reaction from the crowd. If there was a feud developed between these two guys, that would probably put him over more better as a babyface. And with that being said, the result, like I said, clean victory for Aiden English. I would rather see Aiden English maybe win in a decisive kind of manner, like using the ropes or by disqualification or RKO, something like that, of that nature, to let that rivalry continue. But like I said, I'm surprised they did not do that. Instead, the clean finish for Aiden English, and now it just feels like Colin Cassidy is just, like he's just done right now. And there was potential there to have that feud continue, I think, in my opinion, and they just didn't let it happen. I don't understand the logic behind it. So that's the only thing I didn't like, but there were things I did like about that match, like the little things as well. Aiden English, I think, like I said, should benefit more if you were to put him in a story. And like I said, they could have done that, but they didn't. Moving on. We saw a backstage segment between Tyler Breeze and Aiden English. What I like is that when the interviewer announced Aiden English, they were about to talk about that lumberjack match that happened a couple of weeks ago, and Aiden English gets a call. He answers it, and there's Tyler Breeze just over there calling Aiden English. So I thought that was a kind of a neat little thing to develop this little storyline between these two guys. Using the phone, because Tyler Breeze is known to take pictures and selfies, stuff like that, etc., etc. And he's the only one that could get away with it, because when the announcers do it on Raw, it's just absolutely dreadful to watch. Do your jobs, come on. But when Tyler Breeze does it, he can get away with it because it's a part of his gimmick and it works. And so does his tiny little soft woman-like voice. It suits his character, and I like how the dialogue between Aiden English and Tyler Breeze, how they went back and forth, was really entertaining. And I like how they were about to go forth in this match that's upcoming next week, how they interpret it back and forth. I like how Aiden English said, "Now you know how you know, something about playing games and something like that." And Tyler Breeze said, "No, I don't like games." "Well, you're going to like this one. It's called The Win Game." And then Tyler Breeze says, "I hate that game." And the way he's speaking is so ridiculous and so suitable for his character. It's actually laughable, in my opinion. And his reaction when Aiden English was about to punch him but kind of faked out, and Tyler Breeze was like, I was like, I lost it at that reaction. Oh. Another thing I lost that I kind of caught up in the moment was that backstage segment with Xavier Woods, where he was talking about what's Kane doing here. Apparently he has something to say to Xavier Woods, and that moment where he said, "I'm over 9,000. Oh, I completely lost it. Little things. The little things matter. And after that, you know, we saw Xavier Woods come out. He was about to go one-on-one with his opponent. And then you hear the pyro go off. Boom, it's Kane. And here everyone was thinking, and even I was thinking that this is Xavier Woods' opponent? He's actually wrestling now? He's not the director of operations? He's the big red machine? No. Of course, Kane comes out in his suit and tie with glasses on, which looked awful. Don't ever do that again. Just wear the suit, minus the glasses, please. It looks bad on you, Kane. And with that being said, basically what this was Kane introducing Xavier Woods' opponent, and I like how throughout that the scene with Kane and Xavier Woods, things don't go unpunished. And basically what this was Kane punishing Xavier Woods for starting this petition to rehire the Big Show, and this was months before, but now they're talking about it. And I like how I like what Kane said. We're going to punish you at the right time, and I think they've done a pretty good job, because sometimes you have to bring back things that were kind of left open, and now it's come to fruition. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but you know, you get what I mean. And after that, we get the match. Xavier Woods versus Alexander Rusev. Those two go at it. I thought that match was okay. It was another one of those short matches. I thought there were like a couple of short matches on this show, and so it was an average show at best. But throughout that match, Alexander Rusev, that Samoan drop he laid on Xavier Woods was like a holy crap moment. That just like came out of nowhere. And I thought, you know, that was basically Alexander Rusev just squashing Xavier Woods. And really what this is this match was benefiting Alexander Rusev using Xavier Woods' popularity. Now he's being established on Raw and SmackDown, and using him in a match with Alexander Rusev to put him over. And I think they've done a pretty good job with that. Using the Accolade as his finishing maneuver. And he actually makes that move really devastating. It's not like Scott Steiner where it feels generic when he applies the Steiner recliner or the camel clutch apply from Muhammad Hassan. It just feels generic from those two guys when they apply the move. But when Alexander Rusev applies that finishing maneuver, which he calls the Accolade, you just have no choice but to tap out. He's the big, strong Bulgarian brute. And he's just this dominant force that you just can't go get over. And I love how they established Alexander Rusev this week as a monster, as opposed to last week when Lana interfered in the match, which made him feel less of a monster, but this week made up for it. After that, we saw Kofi Kingston in the backstage interview talked about his match last week with Rusev and how he underestimated his opponent, and now he has a chance to right the wrong in hopes to gain a win over Alexander Rusev. But the way I see it is that to right the wrong from his match with Kofi Kingston is to not have Lana interfere in that match. Because, like I said, it will just make Alexander Rusev less of a monster. Also, we saw Tyson Kidd go one-on-one with Baron Corbin. This was pretty much the jobber match where Tyson Kidd goes over. But I like how this match played out. I like that Baron Corbin actually had put in some offensive moves on Tyson Kidd. Tyson Kidd performed very well in that match, and they actually established Baron Corbin as the bigger guy, and I like how the commentators mentioned that he's the bigger guy fighting the cruiserweight. And so I like how they established the jobber that make him felt less of a jobber, even though he's still a jobber. So, little things like that, like I said, do matter on NXT. What happened was that throughout the beginning of this match, there was that comparison of Tyson Kidd being compared to Eddie Guerrero. I can understand it. He's got the hair, he's got the long tights, he's starting to get that kind of swagger in a way, but that's a bold comparison. I think Tyson Kidd has a long way to go if you want to be like Eddie Guerrero. Even though he performs very well, he's a very underrated superstar. He's a very talented worker. CM Punk called Tyson Kidd a workhorse. And when CM Punk, of all people, calls you a workhorse, you know you're doing something really great. And I have high hopes for Tyson Kidd, and there's nothing wrong with this guy at all. The only thing I would suggest with Tyson Kidd is that he should start talking on the microphone to go over more as a babyface. Even though he has a lot of fans behind him, give him the microphone and see what happens. That's what I like to see out of Tyson Kidd. But overall, this match was actually watchable because of the fact that the jobber felt less of a jobber, even though he's still a jobber. I know I mentioned that before, I'll mention that again. And when Tyson Kidd was in the ring, he can do no wrong. Tyson Kidd is one of those guys that will automatically let you know he's going to put on a great match before he wrestles. And that's a rare aspect when it comes to being a wrestler and a superstar in the WWE. It's kind of like CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, even Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose. Those kind of guys where you know he's about to have a match, and you know he's about to put a good performance in the ring, and they do no wrong. Same goes with Tyson Kidd. Moving on was the main event, the Ascension versus Hunico and Camacho. And here I'm thinking Hunico and Camacho does not feel credible at all. They don't belong in the ring with the tag team champions at all. They just don't. They don't feel credible. Just stop putting matches with these two teams. Please just stop doing it. Grow your tag team division and start bringing in new teams. They've done it with the American Pitbulls. I don't see why they can't sign these guys, because there's something new to NXT. They're great high flyers. They've been working for a number of years in Ring of Honor and other indie promotions as well, and they have, like I said, years to their resume, and I don't see why they should not be signed to NXT. Put them on as an established tag team to work up the ranks to get to the top of the tag team division on NXT. It's not that hard. Even though, yeah, they're too small, but still, come on. You gotta give these guys a chance. One match and they flopped it. Oh well. Big deal. Move on from that and see what they can do in a good match when given the chance. It's not that hard. And this match was a tornado match as well, so a lot of things were all over the place. In my opinion, this was not the greatest match when it comes to the tag team division. I'm a traditionalist all the way. Regular tag team matches. I thought this match was, like I said, not the greatest. There was hardly any tag team maneuvers until the end result was the Ascension going over Hunico and Camacho. I thought it was the right way to go. And there were some things in this match that really bothered me. There was one moment where Rick Victor had Hunico pinned, and Conor O'Brien flatjacked Camacho, and it was kind of like a miscommunication issue. That little thing like that kind of ruined the whole thing, and also it didn't feel like a tag team match because there was hardly any tag team finishing. I mean, there was hardly any tag team maneuvers. It was like one guy taking on one guy and the other guy taking on the other guy. It was Hunico taking on Rick Victor and Camacho taking on Conor O'Brien. It just felt like four guys in a four-way match. The only difference is the two guys that were of the same team did not go at it with each other. That's what I thought this match was like. So, with that being said, you know, it kind of fell flat. Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I wish there was more teamwork. But there were some spots I did like. I did like that moonsault, you know, the springboard moonsault Hunico applied on the Ascension, as well as the two power bombs from the corner that the Ascension delivered on Hunico and Camacho. I thought that was a good spot as well, but overall, this match was not a good way to end off NXT. And overall, the show was just an okay show, I think, in my opinion. There were some matches that were just a few minutes long, like the Tyson Kidd Baron Corbin match, the Summer Rae and Bayley match, as well as the Aiden English and Colin Cassidy match. These matches were really short, but they kind of made the most out of them. And with all that being said, I give this show a rating of 6.5 out of 10. So if you saw last night's episode of NXT, what did you think about it? Comment below and let me know. You can also follow MRB Wrestling Reviews on Facebook and on Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube and like what you see on our videos. And to all you viewers watching, get plenty of rest and always do your best.